Rain hammered the roof of the diner like 1,000 angry fists. Lightning flashed across the Arkansas sky, turning the parking lot into a blur of silver and shadow. And in the middle of that storm, Elena Brooks, soaked from head to toe, pressed her palm against the shattered window of a black SUV. Gabriel Huxley, one of America's most notorious billionaire CEOs, and a man who hadn't walked in years, but tonight he was slumped over the steering wheel, bleeding. "Sir, Gabriel, can you hear me?" Elena's voice cracked, fear shaking through her. "Please, stay with me." Another thunderclap boomed across the sky. The SUV's engine sparked. Smoke hissed from under the hood. A fire was seconds away. She grabbed the handle, yanking it hard, her hand slipping. "Come on, open!" It didn't budge. "Elena!" someone yelled from behind her. "Get away from the car, it's gonna blow!" But she didn't move. She couldn't. She remembered the way he looked the very first night he entered her diner alone, the loneliness in his eyes, the way the world dismissed him because he could no longer walk. And now he was dying in front of her. "Gabriel," she whispered, forehead pressed to the glass, "I'm not leaving you." "I swear it." The door finally gave way with a metallic crack. Smoke billowed out. Elena covered her nose and climbed inside, coughing violently as she reached for him. "Stay awake," she begged. "Stay awake for me." She hooked her arms under his and pulled with everything she had. His eyes fluttered open. "Elena, you shouldn't—" "Shut up," she said, choking on smoke. "I'm getting you out of here." The flames jumped to the front seat, and as she dragged him out into the storm, fire bursting behind them, the entire SUV exploded. Everything went white. "Now, before we go any further, would you risk your life to save someone who once changed yours forever? And what would you do if the person you saved was the same billionaire who asked you to marry him?" Get ready, because today's story is one of betrayal, sacrifice, and a miracle nobody saw coming. Hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you love emotional, dramatic storytelling like the one you're about to watch, please hit that like button, drop a comment so YouTube pushes this video out, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new story. Alright, now let's rewind, because the night Elena pulled that billionaire out of a burning SUV, that wasn't the beginning. It started years earlier, long before Gabriel's car exploded, long before their marriage contract, long before she ever saved his life. The sun was setting over Bentonville, Arkansas, painting the sky with streaks of orange and indigo as a much younger Elena Brooks walked home from Bubba's diner, her tired feet dragging across the cracked sidewalk. The sun dipped behind the rows of old brick buildings as Elena Brooks kicked off her worn white sneakers and sighed. The air in Bentonville, Arkansas was still warm, thick with the scent of fried catfish drifting from the diner's back door. She pulled her braids into a loose ponytail, the exhaustion pressing heavily on her shoulders after another 12-hour shift. Inside the diner, neon lights flickered. Bubba's Diner, best pie in Arkansas, a lie in Elena's opinion. But the customers didn't care about quality. They came for the atmosphere, the cheap coffee, and the gossip. "Girl, you look beat," called Marissa, the cook, wiping sweat from her dark forehead. "If you fall asleep walking home, I ain't coming to pick you up." Elena laughed weakly. "If I collapse, just roll me into the shade." "I'll be fine." They both chuckled. Humor was how they survived. But truth be told, Elena was exhausted. Not just from today. Not just from the diner. She pushed through the screen door and stepped outside, letting the cool evening breeze wash over her. Her backpack was light, too light, because most of her paycheck had gone straight to rent, utilities, and the overdue medical bill they threatened to send to collections. She pulled out her phone, a text from the hospital, payment reminder, urgent. Her stomach twisted. "Lord," she whispered, "I gotta catch a break before I break." She turned right, heading toward Maple Street. Street lamps flickered. casting long shadows across the pavement as crickets sang in the nearby field. The neighborhood wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't exactly cozy either. She was halfway home when she heard the rumble of a car engine behind her. Slow, too slow. She tensed. A black SUV rolled up beside her, tinted windows hiding whoever sat inside. Elena stopped walking. The SUV stopped too. The window slid down and revealed a sharply dressed blonde woman, maybe late 40s, eyes cold and assessing. She wore a tailored suit that screamed money and attitude. A woman who lived in a world far above Bubba's Diner and overdue bills. "Elena Brooks?" she asked. Elena's heart thumped. "Who's asking?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she gestured to the back seat. "Someone wishes to speak with you." Elena took a step back. "Ma'am, I don't get into strangers' cars. That's how people end up on the news." A voice drifted out from the back seat, low, smooth, commanding. "It's all right. She can sit in the front, Lucia." The woman, Lucia, stiffened and nodded respectfully. Elena narrowed her eyes, trying to see past the tinted glass. "Who are you?" she asked. The door unlocked with a soft click. And that's when she saw him. A man sitting in the back seat, legs still, posture upright, dressed in a dark three-piece suit. His face was striking, sharp jawline, high cheekbones, piercing grey eyes, but there was a hardness to him too. A quiet storm. His wheelchair was folded beside him. Her breath caught. She had seen him before, on TV, in magazines, on Forbes lists. Gabriel Huxley, billionaire CEO of Huxley Tech. The man who built an empire from nothing and lost the use of his legs after a mysterious accident 3 years ago. Elena's throat ran dry. "What?" Her voice barely worked. "Why would a man like you want to talk to me?" His eyes held hers, unblinking, measured, dangerous, and yet curious. "I've been looking for you," Gabriel said quietly. "Get in. We have business to discuss." "Business? With her?" She shook her head. "Sir, with all due respect, the only business I know is serving people chicken and waffles." "I don't—" He cut her off with a single word. "Please." It wasn't a command. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even desperation. It was something else. Something like recognition. Elena hesitated. "Just for a moment," Lucia smiled thinly. "We don't have all night." Elena swallowed hard, opened the front passenger door, and climbed inside. The SUV pulled away into the dimming evening, leaving the quiet Arkansas street behind. Inside the cabin, the air was cool and smelled faintly of expensive cologne. She adjusted her seatbelt, hands trembling. "Okay," she said, trying to stay calm. "I'm here. What do you want from me?" Gabriel leaned forward slightly, eyes locked on her. "Elena Brooks," he said, "I want to offer you a proposition." She raised a brow. "A proposition?" "Yes," he said softly, "one that will change your life and mine." He paused. The silence hung heavy. "I want you to consider becoming my wife." The air inside the SUV thickened after Gabriel's words. "Marry me?" Elena froze, her fingers tightening around the seatbelt, as if it were the only thing keeping her grounded. I think I misheard you," she stammered. "You don't even know me?" Gabriel didn't flinch. "I know more about you than you think." Her pulse quickened. "Excuse me?" Lucia shifted in the driver's seat, glancing at Gabriel through the mirror, but he kept his eyes on Elena, unwavering. "Elena," he said calmly, "I didn't choose you out of thin air. Nothing about this is random." He leaned back slightly, as though preparing for a long explanation, something he didn't often give. "I'm a businessman. I don't make emotional or impulsive decisions. Every choice I make is strategic." Gabriel inhaled slowly. "Let's start with how I found you." Lucia tapped a button on the console. A small screen lit up, showing a paused surveillance video from a hospital hallway. Elena's stomach dropped. She recognized the hallway immediately. Mercy General Hospital, where her mother had been treated the year before. Lucia pressed play. There she was. Elena, hair in a messy bun, wearing a faded hoodie, pushing a supply cart down the hallway. "This was me as a volunteer," she whispered. "But why would you have this?" Gabriel's voice was low, controlled. "Because this video saved my life." Elena blinked. "What?" Lucia rewound the footage, zoomed in, and played a different angle. This one showed Gabriel, unconscious on a gurney, being rushed through the hallway, his face pale, his breathing shallow. Elena's hands flew to her mouth. "I remember that day," she whispered. "There were rumors a VIP patient was flown in." Gabriel nodded. That very important person was me. But what does that have to do with—" "Watch." Lucia hit play again. A nurse, pushing Gabriel's gurney, seemed distracted, one hand typing on her phone. The wheel hit a metal table leg sticking out into the hall. And the entire gurney tilted dangerously, seconds from crashing, seconds from worsening whatever internal injury he had. And then Elena blurred into the frame. She grabbed the tipping gurney with both hands, braced her entire weight against it, and shoved it back upright. The nurse gasped. Elena shouted something, obviously scolding her, but the audio was muted. If not for Elena, the crash would have sent Gabriel tumbling onto the floor, possibly severing the limited nerve function he still had, or causing irreversible spinal trauma. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't heroic music and slow motion. It was simple, instinctive, human, something she did without even knowing who was on that gurney. The video froze on Elena's determined face. Gabriel met her gaze again. "You saved me." Elena's throat tightened. "I didn't know. I don't even remember that." "That's because you don't think about your good deeds," Gabriel murmured. "But I do," he continued, voice lower now. "When my doctors reviewed the camera footage later, they told me the fall would have made my paralysis permanent, completely irreversible. They found the moment I almost lost everything, and the woman who prevented it." Lucia spoke for the first time since the reveal. "We looked into you, Miss Brooks. Your background, your character, everything about you. Checked out." "Checked out for what?" Elena whispered. "For someone trustworthy," Gabriel said. "For someone who doesn't chase fame or money. For someone who does the right thing even when no one's watching." He paused before finishing softly. "For someone I could build a partnership with." Elena looked away, overwhelmed. "So this is a repayment?" she asked bitterly. "A reward? Like you're offering a marriage the way people offer bonuses?" Gabriel shook his head. "No. I'm offering a marriage because I need something, and you are the only person I trust to give it." Her brows drew together. What could possibly be so important? Gabriel hesitated. Lucia's grip tightened on the steering wheel. This was the real reason. The reason Elena had been singled out. The reason a billionaire CEO had come to a small Arkansas town looking for a waitress who didn't know she once saved his life. Gabriel finally answered, "My board is trying to remove me as CEO." Elena stiffened. "Why?" "Because of my paralysis. They believe I'm a liability, that I appear weak, vulnerable, and a CEO cannot appear weak. Not when investors are circling like vultures. And a marriage helps you— How?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "My best chance of keeping my position is proving stability. Strength, a stable home life, someone by my side who isn't paid to be there, someone authentic." "So you want a wife? For appearances?" "For more than appearances," Gabriel said firmly. "I need someone the media will believe. Someone with compassion, intelligence, and authenticity. Qualities my PR advisors say are the only thing that can sway public opinion." He looked at her with striking sincerity. "You saved me once. I'm asking you to help save me again." Elena's voice cracked. "Gabriel, this is insane." He didn't disagree. "I know, but so is the world I live in." Silence filled the SUV. Outside, the Arkansas fields rolled past, the sky turning deep shades of twilight. Finally, Gabriel added, "And this is not charity. This is a contract. 1 year of marriage. In exchange, I give you $5 million and full coverage of your mother's medical debts." Elena froze. "What?" Her voice was barely audible. "You're struggling." "I know. I'm not insulting you. I'm giving you an opportunity. Maybe the only one life has ever given you." He leaned forward slightly, eyes intense. "You help me keep my empire, and I'll help you rebuild your life." Elena felt the weight of everything pressing down on her. Her mother's bills, her dead-end job, her exhaustion, her future slipping through her fingers. And Gabriel Huxley, paralyzed billionaire, brilliant CEO, wounded man, looking at her as if she were the only person left he could trust. She swallowed hard. "I don't know what to say." Gabriel answered softly, "Say you'll think about it." Elena closed her eyes, then opened them. "Fine, I'll think about it." Gabriel exhaled, the first sign of relief. "Good." The SUV slowed, pulling up outside her apartment complex. Before she stepped out, Gabriel said one more thing, something that would echo through her mind long after the SUV drove away. "Elena, I don't believe in coincidences. You weren't a coincidence in that hospital, and you're not a coincidence now." The SUV rolled away, its taillights glowing like two red eyes watching her disappear into the night. Elena stood frozen beneath the flickering parking lot lamp outside her run-down apartment building. The night air pressed heavy against her chest. $5 million. 1 year of marriage, a man she barely knew, but had unknowingly saved. She let out a shaky breath and pushed into her building. The stairwell smelled faintly of old carpet and someone's fried chicken. A baby cried somewhere on the second floor. Someone slammed a door on the third. Her life. Her reality. And a billionaire had just asked her to marry him. Her apartment was quiet, dimly lit by a cheap floor lamp leaning slightly to the left. Elena tossed her backpack onto the couch and sank into the soft, overused cushions. "Lord, what am I supposed to do with this?" she muttered. She rubbed her temples. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She flinched. A notification. Mercy General Hospital. Final notice. Balance. $987. Scanning the threat of collections, payment deadlines, penalties. Her throat burned. She thought about her mother's voice just a year earlier, weak, but so hopeful. "Baby, don't let them stress you out. I know God's got us." But God wasn't answering the phone, and bills didn't pay themselves. Elena wiped her eyes, stood up, and began pacing the tiny living room. "This is crazy," she muttered. "Marry a CEO, a billionaire. Girl, are you out of your mind? But the alternative? Drowning in debt forever? Working 12-hour shifts until her body gave out? Losing the apartment? Watching everything crumble?" She pressed her palms to her face. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why would he choose me?" But she knew why. That video. That moment in the hospital hallway when she acted without thinking, without knowing, without hesitation. He wasn't lying about it being meaningful. She could hear it in his voice when he said it. "You saved me once." Still marriage, that was something else entirely. A knock at the door made her jump. She hesitated. No one visited her this late. Another knock. "Elena? You awake?" She let out a shaky breath. It was Mrs. Carter, her elderly neighbor from across the hall. Elena opened the door. Mrs. Carter, a small black woman with silver curls and kind eyes behind oversized glasses, looked her up and down. "You all right, baby? You look like you done seen a ghost." Elena forced a smile. "Something like that." "Well, I brought you some stew." Mrs. Carter handed her a warm container. "You didn't eat dinner again, did you?" Elena's stomach growled on cue. She managed a real smile this time. "Thank you, Mrs. C. really." But Mrs. Carter didn't move. She narrowed her eyes slowly, studying Elena the way only grandmothers and seasoned women could. "What's happened?" she asked softly. Elena opened her mouth, then shut it. How was she supposed to explain? I'm overwhelmed," she said finally. Mrs. Carter nodded knowingly, patted her arm and said, "Sometimes life drops something. Big on you, baby, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But either way, you pray on it, think on it, and you sleep on it. Don't rush." Elena nodded. "Thank you," she whispered. After Mrs. Carter left, Elena locked the door, set the stew on the counter, and leaned against the wall. Her mind spun. Sleep was impossible. She lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying Gabriel's expression, his tone, the sincerity in his voice. "I don't make emotional or impulsive decisions. Every choice I make is strategic. You saved me once. I'm asking you to help save me again. You weren't a coincidence in that hospital." Sunlight crept through the blinds. Elena sat at the kitchen table in her faded pajama shorts, tapping her fingers anxiously. Coffee sat untouched beside her. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. Her heart jumped. She answered. "Hello?" "Elena." Gabriel's voice, smooth, controlled, but softer than last night. Almost careful. "You said you'd think about it," he continued. "I wanted to check in." She swallowed. Gabriel Huxley didn't seem like the kind of man who checked in. That alone shook her. "I haven't decided yet," she said honestly. "That's all right," he replied, "but there are details you deserve to know before making a decision." She exhaled slowly. "Okay. What details?" "It's better said in person. I'm sending the car." Her breath hitched. "Gabriel, wait, I have work today." "No, you don't." She blinked. "What?" "I called Bubba's Diner this morning. Told them I was offering you a temporary position at Huxley Tech. They were surprisingly supportive of you taking time off." She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. "You what? Gabriel, you can't just—" "Elena." His tone dropped. "Firm, but not unkind. This decision could change your life, and I won't let a diner shift stand in the way of you making it with all the right information." She stared at the wall, stunned. The man was unbelievable. Annoying, overbearing, heavy-handed, and absolutely used to getting what he wanted. Yet there was something else there too. Urgency, pressure, fear. Fear of losing his company. Fear of losing everything he built. He wasn't asking her out of luxury. He was asking her out of survival. She sighed. "Fine. I'll talk, but talking doesn't mean yes." "Understood," Gabriel said. "The car will arrive in 20 minutes. The line clicked. Elena dragged her hands down her face. "This man is going to be the death of me," she groaned. But deep down she knew. Part of her wanted to hear him out, not because of the money, not because of the marriage, but because something about Gabriel Huxley didn't match the billionaire image she'd seen on TV. He wasn't cold. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't pitiful. He was broken in a way that mirrored her own brokenness, and that scared her more than anything. The same black SUV pulled up. The back window rolled down. Gabriel looked at her. Not like a CEO, not like a billionaire choosing a stranger. Elena swallowed. He nodded once. "Then let's begin." The SUV door opened. Elena climbed in, this time with the weight of choice trailing behind her. The SUV glided away from Elena's apartment complex and onto the main road, the morning sun casting soft gold across the Arkansas skyline. Elena sat in the front again, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She could feel Gabriel's gaze on her from the back seat, but he didn't speak. Not yet. His silence wasn't cold. It was calculating, as if he were organizing the truth into neat compartments before exposing them one by one. Finally, Elena broke the tension. "So, where are we going?" "Huxley Tech's private office branch in Bentonville," Gabriel replied. "It's quiet, secure. We can talk openly there." Her brows rose. "You have an office here? I thought your headquarters were in Chicago." "They are," he said. "But I've expanded several operations across the U.S. logistics manufacturing R&D. Arkansas is part of that network." Of course he had offices everywhere. Billionaires didn't sit still. The SUV turned onto a polished driveway leading to a sleek building of glass and steel. Modern. Expensive. Out of place in the humble town, but undeniably striking. Lucia parked the SUV and quickly stepped out to open Gabriel's door. It wasn't clumsy. It wasn't pitiful. It wasn't weak. It was practiced, efficient, precise, like everything else he did. Elena found herself watching him with a quiet admiration she didn't expect. Gabriel noticed. "What?" he asked flatly. She blinked. "Nothing." He narrowed his eyes almost suspiciously, then maneuvered his wheelchair with smooth control. "Come," he said. "We have much to discuss." The air inside the building hummed with quiet electricity. Screens glowed with complex diagrams, data, and blueprints. The floors were polished obsidian black, reflecting light like a mirror. Gabriel led her into a large office with wall-to-wall windows overlooking the town. Everything about the room screamed order, from the minimalist shelves to the files arranged with military precision. He stopped near his desk. "Elena," he said, "I want you to understand the full picture before making your decision." She crossed her arms. "Then start talking." He didn't sit. He didn't wheel around nervously. He simply looked at her with the steady intensity of a man accustomed to giving impossible commands and getting results. "3 years ago," he began, "I wasn't supposed to survive the accident that paralyzed me." Elena leaned forward. "What exactly happened?" He hesitated for the first time, eyes darkening. "My official statement says I crashed during a late-night drive after a board meeting." His jaw tightened. "That was a lie." Elena's breath caught. "A lie," she whispered. Gabriel nodded. "Someone tampered with my car's braking system." Her stomach dropped. "You're saying someone tried to kill you?" "I'm saying someone almost succeeded." He wheeled closer, voice lowering. "And my board has been using the accident, whether planned or not, to slowly push me out of my own company. They think my paralysis weakens the brand image. They want someone more physically capable. Someone younger. Someone they can control." "Who?" Elena asked. "Who's trying to replace you?" Gabriel's lips pressed into a thin, angry line. "My cousin, Thomas Huxley." Elena blinked. "You have a cousin?" "He's the CFO. Smart. Ambitious. Ruthless." His fingers curled tightly around the armrest. "He's been campaigning behind the scenes, painting me as emotionally unstable, physically unfit, and unable to handle the pressure." Elena frowned. "But what does that have to do with marrying me?" Gabriel turned away, wheeling to the window. "My public image is everything in this fight. Investors are nervous. Rumors are spreading. The board votes soon. And Thomas is promising them a new era of leadership." He pivoted back toward her. "What I need is something Thomas doesn't have." His eyes locked onto hers. "A story money can't buy. A relationship he can't mock. Stability he can't fabricate." Elena's breath hitched. "You think I could give you that?" Gabriel nodded once. When the world sees me with someone genuine, compassionate, and real, they'll stop seeing the wheelchair and start seeing the man again. His voice softened, just barely. You already saved me once, Elena, and we both know you didn't do it for recognition, reward, or attention. People like you are rare. Investors trust that. Elena looked down at her hands. You think marrying me will convince the world you're strong enough to stay CEO? Yes. And you think I can pull that off? No. She stiffened. Wow, thanks. He cut her off gently. Elena, I don't think you can. I know you can. You're the kind of woman who helps strangers without thinking twice. You're the kind who carries her pain quietly but still smiles at others. And you're the kind who doesn't let fear stop her. Heat rose in her chest. Not romantic heat, but a deep, unexpected recognition. For the first time in a long time, someone saw her, truly saw her. And what's in it for me? She whispered. Gabriel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he wheeled closer until he was right in front of her. I will give you financial security for the first time in your life. I will give you a chance to build something of your own, and I will protect you with every resource I have. Elena swallowed. And after the year is over? Gabriel's expression softened, shadows flickering through his eyes. Then you walk away with a new life. A life you choose, she exhaled shakily. This is insane, she whispered. Most life-changing opportunities are, he replied. There was a long silence, the air thick between them. Then Gabriel said the one thing that tipped the scale in her mind. Elena, if you say yes, you won't be my puppet, or a prop, or a trophy. He held her gaze. You'll be my partner. Her heart thudded painfully. I need time, she whispered. Gabriel nodded, controlled but undeniably relieved she didn't immediately reject the idea. You'll have it. She stood up. Thank you. Gabriel watched her quietly as she walked toward the door. But just before she reached it, Elena, he said softly, whatever you decide, you changed the course of my life once already. She turned slowly. And if you agree to this, he continued, you might just save it for good. For a moment, Elena can't hear the traffic, or the wind, or even her own heartbeat. Just those words hovering in the air between them. You might just save it for good. Gabriel Huxley, billionaire, CEO, the kind of man whose shadow feels like an entire sky Linwaits like this, isn't the most insane proposal in human history. Like it's normal, like it's casual, like he didn't just tell her she might save his life. Elena opens her mouth, then closes it again. Her brain can't keep up. Yesterday she was wiping tables at the diner. Today she's being offered a marriage and a chance to rewrite a man's fate. Gabriel, you don't even know me. He exhaled slowly, the tension in his jaw soft but stubborn. Maybe not. But I know timing, I know desperation, and I know this, he gestures toward the window overlooking the city, is the only way I survive what's coming. Elena shakes her head. People don't marry strangers to save their companies. They do, he says quietly. When the alternative is losing everything. My company, my legacy, my purpose. His eyes lock onto hers, steady, unreadable, but undeniably human. Elena, I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to pretend. I just need the one thing nobody else in my world can give me. A beat, your authenticity. She looks down at her trembling hands. This is impossible, illogical, insane, but so was the way he looked at her when he showed her that hospital video, like she'd already lived this moment once before. Like she had already saved him. Elena, he says, softer now, I'm running out of time. Her chest tightens. Her instincts scream. Her heart whispers. Somewhere deep inside, she already knows her answer. She takes a breath, looks up at him. and with a breath she'll never be able to take back. Yes. Gabriel freezes. For the first time since she met him, he truly looks shocked. Yes? He echoes. She nods, her voice steadier this time. If I'm really the reason you survive, then I'm not walking away. Gabriel's composure cracks. Just slightly, just enough. Relief floods his eyes. Then we begin, he says quietly. Elena steps forward, and just like that her old life ends. Elena has never ridden in a car this quiet. No engine hum. No chatter. Just the low, intimidating silence of wealth, the kind that absorbs sound instead of making it. Gabriel sits beside her, one arm resting on the leather seat, posture straight, eyes fixed on the skyline as it slides past the tinted windows. He hasn't spoken since she said yes. Not one word. It's like he's afraid that if he talks, she might change her mind. Elena watches him from the corner of her eye. He's calm, but only on the surface. His fingers drum against his knee, barely noticeable, but constant. A man waiting for a verdict. Finally she blurts, "So, what happens now?" He turns his head just slightly. We arrive, and we begin... Begin what? My protection, he says, our arrangement, your new life. That last one hits her harder than she expects. The driver speaks for the first time. We're approaching the tower, sir. Elena looks out the window. And there it is. Huxley Tower. More glass than building. More sky than structure. A statement, not architecture. The kind of place Elena walked past 100 times but never dared to look too long at, like it might look back. The SUV glides into a private underground entrance. Security stands in a perfect line. They don't greet Gabriel. They don't smile. They simply bow their heads in respect. Elena steps out and instantly hears whispers. Is that her? That's the girl. Sees nothing like the others, Gabriel notices. That the heat of him undermines the coldness of the room. She's with me, he says to the guards. 3 words. Instant silence. He offers his hand. Not romantically, strategically. She takes it anyway. They enter a private elevator that climbs so fast her ears pop. When the doors open, she's met with a penthouse office that feels more like a museum. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A desk carved from black stone. Screens displaying stock numbers she doesn't understand. And people. 12 of them. Waiting. Gabriel releases her hand and suddenly becomes someone else. The CEO version of himself. The one who doesn't hesitate. The one who owns the air. He nods once. Everyone, this is Elena. They stare, assessing, judging, calculating. A man steps forward from the group. Tall, polished, with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He wears a suit that costs more than Elena's yearly rent. Thomas Huxley, Gabriel's cousin. So this is the young woman you've been spending time with, Thomas says smoothly. Gabriel's expression tightens. My fiancée, he corrects. The room shifts, gasps, soft, stifled, disbelieving. Thomas's smile flickers. I see, he says slowly. Quite sudden, isn't it? Gabriel's voice is cool steel. Life and death situations usually are. Thomas glances at Elena, his eyes sharp and calculating. Well then, welcome to the family, Elena. It doesn't feel like a welcome. It feels like a warning. Elena forces herself to hold his gaze. Thank you. Thomas's smile widens slightly, but there's no warmth in it. I'm sure we'll be seeing much more of each other. After all, family is everything here at Huxley Tech. The way he says, family, sends a chill down her spine. Gabriel's hand finds the small of Elena's back, a subtle gesture of support and possession. That will be all, Gabriel says dismissively. Elena and I have matters to discuss. The room slowly empties, executives filing out with backward glances and whispered conversations. Thomas is the last to leave. He pauses at the door, looking back at Elena with an expression she can't quite read. Gabriel, he says, I do hope you know what you're doing. Then he's gone. Once the room disperses completely, Elena leans toward Gabriel and whispers, They don't like me. They don't have to, he replies. They only have to respect you. She laughs nervously. I'm not sure they do that either. Gabriel finally turns to her, fully, intentionally. Elena, you agreed to marry me. That means you walk into every room with me. Not behind me, a beat, and not alone. He says it like a promise, or a vow. For the first time she sees it, the weight he carries, the constant pressure, the unspoken enemies, and the way he stands slightly in front of her, like he's already protecting her even though she's supposed to be protecting him. Elena swallows hard. Gabriel's jaw tightens. Thomas has been positioning himself to take over the company since my accident. He believes I'm weak, vulnerable, and he thinks marrying you is a desperate move. Isn't it? Elena asks quietly. Gabriel meets her eyes. No, it's a strategic one. There's a difference. He wheels toward the window, looking out over the city. Thomas will try to undermine us. He'll dig into your past, question your motives, spread rumors. He'll do everything he can to make our marriage look like a sham. Elena's stomach twists. So what do we do? Gabriel turns back to her, his expression hard but determined. We prove him wrong. We show the board, and the world, that we're real. But we're not, Elena whispers. This is a contract. Gabriel's eyes soften just slightly. Then we make them believe otherwise. The courthouse was supposed to be private. It wasn't. Elena expected the word. Wedding. To mean flowers, music, dresses, families, something beautiful. Gabriel meant something very different. There's no church. No guests. No aisle. Just a courthouse room on the 42nd floor. Quiet, sterile, almost too bright. A judge. A pen. 2 signatures that will change everything. Gabriel stands beside her in a tailored black suit that could intimidate a storm. He doesn't reach for her hand. He doesn't smile. He looks focused, determined. Like even this wedding is a business negotiation with fate. Lucia stands in the corner as their witness, her expression unreadable. Elena Brooks, the judge asks, do you take Gabriel Huxley as your lawful husband? Her throat tightens. This is real. This is happening. And there's no turning back. She thinks of her mother's medical bills, her tiny apartment, her exhausted body after 12-hour shifts. She thinks of the hospital hallway where she saved a stranger without knowing it would lead to this moment. Yes, she whispers. And you, Mr. Huxley. Gabriel's jaw flexes. For half a second, something warm flashes in his eyes, something he tries to hide. I do. 2 words, a contract, a war declaration. It doesn't feel like congratulations. It feels like stepping into fire. The courthouse door opens, and the world attacks. Cameras explode in their faces. Reporters shove microphones forward. Shouts overlap into chaos. Gabriel, who I S she? A secret romance. Gabriel. Elena? Bye. I as this about the board vote. The flashes blind her. Thawed romance. Strangers grabbing at her dress, her hair. Anything. Elena can't breathe. Gabriel, he's already there. He wheels forward, positioning himself between her and the crowd. His arm reaches back, finding her hand and pulling her close behind him. Back up, he says, voice low but lethal. The crowd hesitates, not because they want to, but because they're afraid. Lucia appears, creating a barrier with her body as the driver pulls up. The SUV doors fling open, and Gabriel guides Elena inside with controlled urgency. The door slams shut. Silence. Elena's hands shake uncontrollably. Gabriel sees it, and something changes in his expression. He takes her hand slowly, carefully, like he's afraid he might scare her more. "I'm sorry," he says, gently, too gently for a man like him. "I should have prepared you better." She squeezes his hand before she can stop herself. "It's not your fault." "It is," he says. "Everything about this is because of me." She wants to argue, but the truth hangs between them like gravity. Internet reacts. By the time they reach Penthouse, the entire world already knows. Photos of the courthouse, videos of them holding hands, headlines in all caps. Gabriel Huxley marries waitress. Mystery bride, who Huxley shock marriage before board vote. Comment sections flood the screens. Elena's chest sinks. She never asked for fame. She never wanted attention. She definitely never wanted this kind of spotlight. Gabriel watches her face as she scrolls on her phone, and then, without warning, he takes the phone from her hand and sets it down on the marble counter. "Elena," he says quietly, "you don't need to see any of that. But they're talking about me, about us. They always will." He steps closer. "Let them." Her breath catches. Not because of the words, but because of the way he says them, like he's made peace with being hated, like he's ready to be hated with her. Gabriel lifts her chin with 2 fingers. "You walk beside me now," he says. "That means the world will have opinions. Let them shout. Let them speculate. None of it touches you. Not while I'm here." She swallows hard. Gabriel's expression shifts, just enough for her to see the truth he won't say out loud. "It was," he murmurs. "Until it wasn't." Her pulse stutters. But he steps back before she can ask what that means. "Get some rest," he says, voice returning to its usual control. "Tomorrow, everything changes." He wheels toward his office, leaving Elena standing alone in the vast, gleaming penthouse. She looks around at the floor-to-ceiling windows, the expensive furniture, the life she's suddenly been thrust into. This isn't just a new life. It's a new world. And she has no idea how to survive it. But as she watches Gabriel disappear down the hallway, one thought lingers. He called this a deal. It's starting to feel like something more. If you're enjoying the story so far, please like and subscribe so that you don't miss another video. Also comment where you're watching from, so we see how far our family is growing. The morning after Elena's first night in Gabriel's penthouse, she woke to silence. Not the comfortable kind, but the kind that made you feel watched. She rubbed her eyes, sat up in the enormous guest bedroom, and silence. Someone had slid an envelope under her door, a plain grey envelope. No name, no seal. Inside was a single sentence, typed in cold mechanical letters. "You're in danger. Meet me behind the loading docks at 9 p.m. Come alone." And below that, a photograph. A grainy image of her and Gabriel standing together in the courthouse. But the photo was taken from above, from the ceiling cameras, meaning the person who sent it had access. Her throat tightened. Who the hell? She stuffed the envelope into her bag and rushed out of the bedroom, her bare feet padding softly against the cold marble floors. The penthouse was massive, too massive. Hallways stretched in every direction, like a labyrinth of glass and steel. Elena found her way to the main living area, where floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. The morning sun painted everything gold, but the beauty felt hollow. Lucia was standing by the kitchen counter, pouring coffee. "Good morning, Mrs. Huxley," she said without looking up. Elena flinched at the title. "Mrs. Huxley? It still didn't feel real. Have you seen Gabriel?" Elena asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "He left early for a board meeting," Lucia replied, finally glancing up. Her sharp eyes immediately noticed Elena's pale face. "Is something wrong?" Elena hesitated. Should she tell her about the envelope? Before she could decide, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Did you get my message? 9 p.m.? Don't be late." Her blood ran cold. Lucia's eyes narrowed. "Elena, what's going on?" Elena swallowed hard and pulled out the envelope, showing it to Lucia. Lucia's expression darkened instantly. She snatched the photo, examining it with the practiced eye of someone trained in security. "Where did you get this?" "It was slid under my door." "This morning?" Lucia cursed under her breath. That means someone got past building security, someone with access to the surveillance systems. Elena's hands trembled. Who would do this? Lucia's jaw tightened. "I need to call Gabriel." "Right now." She pulled out her phone, but Elena grabbed her wrist. "Wait," Elena said. "The message says to come alone. If we tell Gabriel, whoever this is might what?" Lucia snapped. "Hurt you, Elena. You don't go to secret meetings with people who threaten you. That's how people disappear." The word disappear hung in the air like smoke. Elena's voice dropped to a whisper. "Lucia, what aren't you telling me?" Lucia hesitated, conflict flickering across her face. Finally, she exhaled slowly. "There are things about Gabriel's past. Things he hasn't told you yet because he wanted to protect you." Elena's stomach twisted. "What things?" Lucia looked away, choosing her words carefully. "Gabriel wasn't always alone. Before you, there was someone else." Elena's breath caught. "Who?" Her name was Clara. The name hit Elena like a punch to the chest. "Clara," she repeated softly. "Who was she?" Lucia set down her coffee cup, her expression grim. "Gabriel's wife. Well, ex-wife. They divorced about a year before his accident." Elena felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "He was married?" "Yes. And it didn't end well." Elena's mind raced. Gabriel had never mentioned this. Not once. "What happened to her?" Elena asked, though part of her wasn't sure she wanted to know. Lucia's voice dropped. "She disappeared." The word sent ice through Elena's veins. "Disappeared? What do you mean, disappeared?" "I mean," Lucia said carefully, "one night Clara left the house and never came back. No note, no trace, nobody, nothing." Elena backed up until she hit the kitchen counter. "And Gabriel was investigated," Lucia finished. "The police questioned him for weeks, but they never found evidence of foul play. Eventually the case went cold." Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Did Gabriel hurt her?" Lucia's eyes flashed with something fierce. "No, Gabriel loved Clara, even after everything fell apart between them. He would never have harmed her." "Then what happened?" Lucia hesitated again, and Elena could see the weight of secrets pressing down on her. "There was someone else," Lucia said quietly. "Someone who was obsessed with Clara. Someone who believed Gabriel didn't deserve her." Elena's pulse quickened. "Who?" Lucia's voice was barely audible now. "His name is Sterling Vale." Sterling Vale. The name meant nothing to Elena, but the way Lucia said it, with a mixture of fear and disgust, told her everything she needed to know. "Who is he?" Elena asked. "A dangerous man," Lucia said. "Wealthy, connected, ruthless. He was Clara's admirer, for lack of a better word. He wanted her to leave Gabriel. When she wouldn't, things escalated." "Escalated how?" Lucia's expression darkened. "Threats. Stalking. He made Gabriel's life hell. And then Clara vanished." Elena's hands were shaking now. "And you think Sterling is the one who sent me this envelope?" "I don't think," Lucia said grimly. "I know." Before Elena could respond, her phone buzzed again. Another text. "You have questions. I have answers. PM. Come alone, or you'll never know the truth about what Gabriel did to Clara. Elena's breath stopped. What Gabriel did to Clara? Lucia saw the message and swore. Elena, you are not going to that meeting, but what if he's telling the truth? Elena whispered. What if Gabriel? Gabriel didn't hurt Clara, Lucia said firmly, but Sterling wants you to believe he did. That's how he works. He manipulates. He twists reality until you don't know what's real anymore. Elena looked down at the message, her mind spinning. Then why is he targeting me? She asked. I just married Gabriel. I'm nobody. Lucia's voice was quiet but deadly serious. Because you're not nobody anymore. You're Gabriel's wife. And in Sterling's eyes, that makes you a threat. Later that afternoon. Elena tried to distract herself, but the envelope and the messages haunted her thoughts. She wandered through the penthouse, feeling like a stranger in someone else's life. Everything was too big, too expensive, too perfect. She found herself in Gabriel's office room she hadn't entered before. It was darker than the rest of the penthouse, with mahogany furniture and shelves lined with books and awards. A desk sat in the center, clean and organized. But what caught her attention was a photograph on the shelf. Elena stepped closer. It was Gabriel, younger, standing, smiling, and beside him, with her arm around his waist, was a woman with long dark hair and bright eyes. Clara. Elena's chest tightened as she stared at the photo. Clara was beautiful, radiant even, and the way Gabriel looked at her in that picture. Elena had never seen him look at anyone that way. You shouldn't be in here. Elena spun around. Gabriel sat in the doorway, his expression unreadable. I'm sorry, Elena stammered. I was just... Looking at her, Gabriel finished quietly. He wheeled into the room, his eyes moving to the photograph. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Her name was Clara, Gabriel said softly. We were married for 3 years. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Lucia told me. Gabriel's jaw tightened. I wanted to tell you myself. I just didn't know how... Why didn't you mention her before? Elena asked. Before I agreed to marry you. Gabriel looked away, pain flickering across his face. Because I didn't want you to run. I didn't want you to think I was broken beyond repair. Gabriel. He held up a hand. Clara disappeared a year before my accident. The police investigated me. My reputation was destroyed. My company nearly collapsed. I lost everything that mattered. His voice cracked slightly, and then I lost the ability to walk. Elena's heart ached for him. She stepped closer. Gabriel, I received a message this morning from someone who claims to know what happened to Clara. Gabriel's head snapped up, his eyes widening. What? Elena pulled out the envelope and showed him. Gabriel's face drained of color as he read the message. Sterling, he whispered, his hands trembling. He found you. Lucia said he's dangerous. He's worse than dangerous, Gabriel said, his voice shaking with barely controlled rage. He's obsessed, and he won't stop until he destroys me. Elena knelt down in front of him, looking up into his eyes. Gabriel, tell me the truth. Did you hurt Clara? Gabriel's eyes filled with pain. No, I swear to you, Elena, I didn't hurt her, but I failed her. What do you mean? He closed his eyes, a tear sliding down his cheek. I didn't protect her from Sterling, and now she's gone. Before Elena could respond, her phone buzzed. Another message. Gabriel saw the message and grabbed her phone. You're not going, he said firmly. But what if he knows something? Elena argued. What if he knows where Clara is? It's a trap, Gabriel said. Sterling doesn't want to help you. He wants to hurt you to get to me. Elena's voice rose. Then come with me. No, Gabriel said sharply. That's exactly what he wants. He wants us both vulnerable. So what do we do? Elena asked desperately. Gabriel's eyes hardened with determination. We fight back, but we do it my way. Night, 8:45 p.m. Elena stood in the penthouse living room, heart pounding. Gabriel had insisted she wear a small earpiece, so he and Lucia could hear everything. He'd also sent security to watch from a distance. But Elena still felt terribly alone. "Elena," Gabriel's voice came through the earpiece. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," she whispered. "If there's even a chance Sterling knows something about Clara, I have to try." Gabriel was silent for a moment. Then, "Be careful, please." Elena nodded, even though he couldn't see her. She took a deep breath and headed for the door. The loading docks were dark and empty, lit only by a few flickering streetlights. Shadows stretched across the concrete like reaching fingers. Elena's footsteps echoed as she walked deeper into the darkness. "Hello?" she called out, her voice shaking. No response, just silence. And then a figure stepped out from behind a truck, tall, dressed in a grey suit, face partially hidden in shadow. But his eyes were cold and piercing. He smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. In the flesh. He stepped closer, and Elena instinctively took a step back. "Don't be afraid," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to save you." "Save me from what?" Elena asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Sterling's smile widened. "From Gabriel. Before he destroys you like he destroyed Clara." Sterling Vale stood in the shadows, his presence filling the empty loading dock with a suffocating tension. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs as she tried to read his face, tried to see if this man was a savior or a monster. "Gabriel didn't destroy Clara," Elena said, her voice stronger than she felt. "You did." Sterling's smile didn't falter. If anything, it deepened. "Is that what he told you?" he asked, tilting his head. "How convenient." He took another step forward. Elena held her ground, even though every instinct screamed at her to run. "Elena!" Gabriel's voice crackled urgently in her earpiece. "Get out of there! Now." But she couldn't move. Something in Sterling's eyes held her frozen. "What do you want from me?" she asked. Sterling stopped a few feet away, hands casually in his pockets, as if they were having a normal conversation, and not a midnight confrontation. "I want to show you the truth," he said calmly, "before it's too late." "The truth about what?" "About who Gabriel really is." Sterling pulled out his phone, tapping the screen. "You see, Gabriel is very good at playing the victim. The wounded billionaire? The man the world turned against." He looked up at her, eyes glittering in the dim light. "But what if I told you Clara didn't disappear?" he said softly. "What if I told you she ran?" Elena's breath caught. "Ran from what?" Sterling turned his phone toward her. On the screen was a video. Shaky footage, clearly recorded in secret. It showed a woman, dark hair, terrified eyes, sitting in a car, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "Clara." Elena's stomach dropped. "What is this?" she whispered. "Watch," Sterling said. Clara's voice came through the phone speaker, trembling with fear. "If you're watching this, something's happened. I need someone to know the truth. Gabriel isn't who everyone thinks he is." She glanced at the rearview mirror, as if checking to see if she was being followed. "He's been lying. About everything. The accident. It wasn't random. Someone tampered with his brakes, yes, but—" A car horn blared in the background. Clara gasped, the camera shaking violently. "He's following me. Sterling was right. Gabriel knows I found out. He knows I was going to—" The video cut to static. Elena stared at the blank screen, her mind reeling. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Gabriel wouldn't—" "Wouldn't what?" Sterling interrupted, pocketing his phone. "Lie? Manipulate? Do whatever it takes to protect his empire?" He stepped even closer now, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Gabriel isn't the victim, Elena. He's the villain. And Clara paid the price for discovering that." Elena shook her head, backing away. "No, you're twisting things. You're—" "Am I?" Sterling's eyes narrowed. "Then ask yourself this: why did Gabriel never show you that video? Why did he never mention that Clara recorded her final moments?" Elena's breath came in short gasps. Because he didn't know. He knew," Sterling said coldly. "He deleted every copy he could find. But Clara was smart. She uploaded one to a secure cloud account, one he couldn't access." He pulled out a small black device, a backup phone. "This," he said, holding it up, "contains everything. Every recording Clara made. Every conversation she had, every piece of evidence that proves Gabriel Huxley is a monster." Elena's legs felt weak. "Why are you showing me this?" Sterling's expression softened almost sadly. "Because you deserve to know what you've gotten yourself into," he said, "before you end up like Clara." "Elena, don't listen to him." Gabriel's voice came through sharp and desperate in her earpiece. "That video is edited. Spliced! He's manipulating you." But Elena's mind was spinning. She didn't know what to believe anymore. Sterling extended his hand toward her. "Come with me. I'll show you everything. The full recordings. Unedited. Let you decide for yourself who's telling the truth." "Elena, no." Gabriel's voice cracked with panic. "If you go with him, I can't protect you." Elena looked at Sterling's outstretched hand, then at the phone in his other hand, then back at his cold, calculating eyes. "If you have proof," she said slowly, "why not just release it? Why come to me?" Sterling's smile returned. "Because proof without context is just noise. But if Gabriel Huxley's own wife denounces him—" He paused meaningfully. "That's a story the world can't ignore." Elena's blood ran cold. He didn't want to save her. He wanted to use her. "You're insane," she whispered, taking another step back. Sterling's expression hardened. "No, Elena, I'm the only sane one here. Gabriel has everyone fooled his board, his investors, even you. But I see through him." He stepped forward as she stepped back. Clara saw through him too. And look where that got her. Elena's back hit a concrete pillar. She was trapped. Sterling moved closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You have two choices, Elena. Come with me and learn the truth. Or stay with Gabriel and become his next victim. She has a third choice." The voice came from the darkness behind Sterling. "Gabriel." Sterling spun around, his eyes widening in surprise. Gabriel wheeled out from behind a truck, flanked by Lucia and two security guards. His face was set in stone, eyes burning with barely controlled fury. "The third choice," Gabriel said coldly, "is that she stays with me, and you leave. Now." Sterling laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "You brought backup. How brave of you, Gabriel." "I brought protection," Gabriel corrected. "Because unlike you, I don't threaten innocent people in the dark." Sterling's jaw clenched. "Innocent? You think you're innocent?" "I never claimed to be," Gabriel said. "But I didn't hurt Clara, and I won't let you hurt Elena." The two men stared at each other, the air crackling with decades of hatred. "I know what she said," Gabriel interrupted gently, his eyes never leaving Sterling. "And I know how it looks." He finally looked at Elena, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. "But that video doesn't tell the whole story." Sterling scoffed. "Of course you'd say that." Gabriel ignored him. "Elena, I will show you everything. Every recording, every message, every piece of evidence. But not here, not like this, and not from him." He held out his hand to her. "Please, trust me." Elena looked between the two men, Sterling with his cold certainty and his accusations, Gabriel with his wounded eyes and his desperate plea. She thought about the way Gabriel looked at her when she agreed to marry him, like she was the only person in the world he could trust. And she made her choice. She walked past Sterling and took Gabriel's hand. Sterling's face twisted with rage. "You're making a mistake, Elena." "Maybe," she said quietly. "But it's my mistake to make—" Gabriel squeezed her hand, relief flooding his features. "Let's go," he said. But as they turned to leave, Sterling called out one more time. "Elena!" She stopped, looking back at him. His voice was softer now, almost pleading. "Clara trusted him too," he said. "Right up until the end." Elena's chest tightened, but she didn't let go of Gabriel's hand. The ride back was silent. Elena sat next to Gabriel in the back of the SUV, her hand still in his, but her mind 1,000 miles away. When they arrived, Gabriel didn't speak until they were alone in his office. He wheeled to his desk and opened a locked drawer, pulling out a small USB drive. "This," he said, holding it up, "is what Sterling doesn't want you to see." Elena's voice was hoarse. "What is it?" "The full recordings," Gabriel said, "everything Clara recorded in the weeks before she disappeared, including the parts Sterling edited out." He plugged the USB into his computer and turned the screen toward her. "But before you watch," he said quietly, "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you from the beginning." Elena sat down, her heart pounding. "What?" Gabriel took a deep breath, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked truly vulnerable. "Clara and we didn't have a perfect marriage," he began. "We fought, we hurt each other, and toward the end, I made mistakes." Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "What kind of mistakes?" Gabriel's eyes closed briefly. "I cheated on her." The words hit Elena like a physical blow. "You—" "Yes," Gabriel said, his voice filled with shame. "I was angry, resentful. She wanted to leave the city, start a quieter life. I was obsessed with building the company. We grew apart, and I did something unforgivable." Elena's hands trembled. "Who?" "It doesn't matter," Gabriel said. "It was brief. It was meaningless. But Clara found out. And it destroyed her." Tears gathered in Elena's eyes. "Gabriel, I'm not proud of who I was then," he continued. "I was selfish, cruel. I hurt the woman I loved because I was too blind to see what mattered." He looked up at her, tears now streaming down his face. "But I didn't kill her, Elena. I swear on everything I have left. I didn't hurt her." Elena didn't know what to say. Her mind was reeling. Gabriel gestured to the computer screen. "Watch the recordings, all of them, and then decide if you still want to stay." He wheeled toward the door, pausing at the threshold. "I'll understand if you don't," he said softly. Then he left, closing the door behind him. Elena sat alone in the dark office, staring at the computer screen. Her finger hovered over the play button. Whatever was on these recordings would change everything. She took a deep breath and pressed play, but this version didn't cut off. It kept going to expose him. Sterling warned me. He said Gabriel would do anything to protect his secrets. Clara glanced at the mirror again, fear etched on her face. "But I have to try. I have to make people see who he really is. Gabriel isn't the man I married. He's become something else, something darker." She paused, tears streaming down her face. "But I still love him. God help me, I still love him. And maybe that's why I can't walk away." The video ended. Elena's chest ached. The next video loaded automatically. This one was different. Clara was in her living room, talking to someone off camera. "You have to leave him, Clara," Sterling's voice said urgently. "Before it's too late." "I can't," Clara said, shaking her head. "I can't just abandon him. Despite everything, he needs help. He needs to face consequences." Sterling interrupted. "And you need to be safe." "I am safe," Clara insisted. "Gabriel would never hurt me physically. He's just lost." Sterling's voice turned cold. "You're a fool if you believe that." Clara looked hurt. "Sterling, please." "No," he said sharply. "I've watched you suffer. I've stood by while he destroyed you piece by piece. I won't watch any more." "What are you saying?" Sterling's face finally came into view. His expression was intense, almost manic. "I'm saying that if you won't leave him, I'll make him let you go." Clara's eyes widened. "Sterling, no." The video cut off abruptly. Elena's hands flew to her mouth. The next video loaded. It was dated 2 days before Clara disappeared. Clara's face filled the screen, bruised and terrified. "He did this," she whispered, pointing to the bruise on her cheek. "Sterling. He confronted Gabriel at the office, and when I tried to stop them, Sterling shoved me." She started crying. "I thought he cared about me. I thought he wanted to protect me. But he's obsessed. He's dangerous. Gabriel was right about him all along." She looked directly into the camera, her voice breaking. "If something happens to me, it wasn't Gabriel. It was Sterling." The screen went black. Elena sat in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face. All this time, Sterling had been showing her edited footage, making Gabriel look like the villain, when the real monster was him. Elena stood on shaking legs and walked to the door. She found Gabriel in the living room, staring out at the city lights. "Gabriel?" she whispered. He turned, his face etched with pain and exhaustion. "Did you watch them?" he asked quietly. "Yes, and?" Elena crossed the room and wrapped her arms around him. Gabriel stiffened in surprise, then slowly, hesitantly, returned the embrace. "I'm sorry," Elena whispered into his shoulder. "I'm so sorry for doubting you." Gabriel's voice was choked. "You had every right to doubt me. I'm not a good man, Elena. I never have been." "Maybe not," she said, pulling back to look at him. "But you're not a monster. And you didn't hurt Clara." Gabriel's eyes searched hers. "You believe me?" "Yes," she said firmly. "I believe you." For the first time since she'd met him, Gabriel's walls completely crumbled. He pulled her close again, holding her like she was the only thing keeping him together. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for staying." Elena held him tighter, but in the back of her mind, one terrifying thought remained. If Sterling was willing to manipulate her, to threaten her, to go this far, what else was he capable of? Elena woke to the sound of breaking glass. She bolted upright. A manipulator, another crash echoed through the penthouse. She threw on a robe and ran into the hallway. "Gabriel?" Lucia appeared, gun drawn. "Stay back. What's happening?" "Someone triggered the perimeter alarms," Lucia said tersely. "We're going into lockdown." Gabriel wheeled out of his bedroom, his face grim. "It's Sterling," he said. "He's escalating. Another crash this time from the living room." They rushed in to find a brick lying among shattered glass, a note tied to it with string. Lucia carefully picked it up and read it aloud. Gabriel's hands clenched into fists. "He's declared war." Lucia looked at him. "What do you want to do?" Gabriel's eyes hardened with determination. "We finish this," he said. "Tonight. Hashtag the choice that changes everything. Corrected version." Elena stared at the brick, at the threatening note, at the hole in the window where her sense of safety used to be. "He's not going to stop," she whispered. Gabriel's jaw was set in stone. "No, he won't." Lucia was already on the phone, barking orders to security. "I want every camera checked, every entrance monitored, and I want eyes on Sterling Vale's location now." Gabriel wheeled to his desk and pulled up security footage on multiple screens. His fingers moved with practiced precision, scanning angles, checking timestamps. "There," he said, pointing to a screen. "Sterling's vehicle, parked 3 blocks away. He wanted us to know he was close." Elena's stomach twisted. "This is insane. Why is he doing this?" Gabriel turned to her, his expression dark. "Because he can't have what he wants. And if he can't have it, he'll destroy it." "What does he want?" Gabriel's eyes met hers. "You." The word hung in the air like a threat. Elena shook her head. "That doesn't make sense. He doesn't even know me." "He doesn't need to know you," Gabriel said quietly. "You're what I have, and he wants to take everything from me, just like he tried to take Clara." Lucia returned, her expression grim. Elena's eyes widened. "What?" "Gabriel, that's exactly what he wants." "Maybe," Gabriel said, his voice cold and calculated. "But I'm done playing defense. Sterling has terrorized me for years. He manipulated Clara. He's threatening you. It ends tonight." He looked at Lucia. "Get the car ready, and call Marcus. Tell him to meet us at the location." Lucia hesitated. "Gabriel, this is dangerous. We should call the police." "The police can't touch Sterling," Gabriel interrupted. "His family has too much influence. We need evidence, real, undeniable evidence, that he's behind Clara's disappearance and these threats." He turned back to Elena. "And I know how to get it." 30 minutes later. Cut through the night like a blade through water, rain beginning to fall in heavy sheets against the windshield. "Where are we going?" she asked. Gabriel's eyes were fixed on the road ahead, to the place where this all started, where Clara's car was found. Elena's breath caught. "The crash site?" "Yes. Why?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "Because Sterling has been leaving breadcrumbs, little clues scattered over the years, trying to lead investigators to me. But what he doesn't know is that I've been collecting them." He pulled out a tablet, showing Elena a map covered in red markers. Every anonymous tip the police received, every witness who came forward, every piece of evidence that mysteriously appeared. They all point back to one place. He tapped the screen. "The old service road near Clara's crash site. That's where Sterling has been staging everything." "I don't think," Gabriel said grimly. "I know. He's too arrogant to resist showing up when he knows we're walking into his trap." Elena grabbed his hand. "Gabriel, this is insane. We're walking into an ambush." Gabriel squeezed her hand gently. "I know, but it's the only way to force his hand, to get him on camera, on record, admitting what he's done." He tapped his chest, where a small recording device was hidden under his shirt. "I'm wired. Lucia has backup waiting, and Marcus, my head of security, is already in position." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "And if something goes wrong?" Gabriel's expression softened for the first time all night. "Then you run. You get as far away from me and Sterling as possible. You take the money from our contract, and you build the life you deserve." "Gabriel, promise me, Elena." She shook her head. "No, I'm not leaving you, Elena." "No," she said firmly, her voice stronger now. "You asked me to be your partner. Partners don't run when things get dangerous. So wherever you're going, I'm going with you." Gabriel stared at her, something shifting in his expression, something that looked almost like love. "You're impossible," he whispered. "I learned from the best," she replied. Despite everything, Gabriel almost smiled. Crash site. The rain fell harder as they reached the old service road. Trees loomed on either side like sentinels guarding dark secrets. The SUV's headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the twisted guardrail where Clara's car had been found 3 years ago. Lucia parked but kept the engine running. Marcus and his team are in position. But Gabriel, if this goes south— I know, Gabriel said. Just be ready. He looked at Elena. Last chance to stay in the car. Elena opened her door. Not a chance. They stepped out into the rain. The world was eerily quiet, except for the steady drumming of water against metal and earth. Gabriel wheeled toward the guardrail, Elena walking beside him, her hand resting protectively on his shoulder. He's here, Gabriel said quietly. I can feel it. And then, as if summoned by those words, a figure emerged from the tree line. Sterling Vale. He wore a long black coat, rain dripping from his hair, his face illuminated by the occasional flash of lightning. He looked like a ghost risen from the very accident that had started everything. Gabriel, Sterling said, his voice carrying over the rain. I knew you'd come. Gabriel's voice was ice. Where is she, Sterling? Sterling tilted his head. Where is who? Clara. What did you do to her? Sterling laughed a cold, bitter sound. Still playing the concerned ex-husband. How touching. He stepped closer, his eyes sliding to Elena. And you brought your new bride. How romantic. Does she know she's just a replacement? A desperate attempt to rewrite history? Elena's voice cut through the rain. I know exactly what I am, and I know exactly what you are. Sterling's smile widened. Oh? And what's that? A coward, Elena said firmly. A man so obsessed with what he couldn't have that he destroyed an innocent woman's life. Sterling's expression darkened. Innocent? Clara wasn't innocent. She was weak. She chose him. He pointed at Gabriel with disgust over me. Again and again, she chose wrong. She didn't choose wrong, Gabriel said, his voice shaking with controlled fury. She chose freedom. Freedom from you. Sterling's eyes flashed with rage. Freedom? I was trying to save her from you. You were destroying her. Your affairs, your obsession with your company, My mistakes, Gabriel interrupted. Yes, I made mistakes. I hurt her. But I never trapped her. I never stalked her. I never threatened her. He leaned forward in his wheelchair. That was all you. Sterling took another step forward. You have no idea what you're talking about. I have the recordings, Gabriel said. All of them, including the ones where Clara begged you to leave her alone, where she told you she was afraid of you. Sterling froze. That's right, Gabriel continued. Clara documented everything. Every phone call, every threatening message, every time you showed up uninvited, she was building a case against you. Sterling's hands clenched into fists. You're lying. Am I? Gabriel's voice was cold. Then why did you tamper with her car? Why did you stage her disappearance to look like I was responsible? I didn't. You did, Gabriel said. And I can prove it. Lightning flashed, illuminating Sterling's face, twisted with fury and something else. Fear. You can't prove anything, Sterling hissed. Clara's gone. Her recordings are gone. You have nothing. Wrong, Gabriel said quietly. I have everything. And tonight, with you on tape confessing, I have enough to put you away forever. Sterling's eyes widened. He looked down at Gabriel's chest, realizing the small recording device. His face contorted with rage. You set me up, he snarled. No, Gabriel said. You set yourself up. I just gave you the rope. Sterling lunged forward. But Lucia was faster. She stepped between them, gun drawn. Don't move. From the trees, Marcus and 3 security officers emerged, surrounding them. Sterling looked around wildly, trapped. It's over, Sterling, Gabriel said quietly. You're done, Sterling's face twisted with desperation. He looked at Elena. You believe him? After everything, he's a liar, a manipulator. Stop, Elena said firmly. I've seen the recordings, the real ones. I know what you did to Clara. I know what you tried to do to Gabriel. And I know you're a monster. Sterling's eyes filled with something close to madness. Clara loved me. She just didn't know it yet. If Gabriel hadn't been in the way, Clara never loved you, Gabriel said, his voice filled with finality. And she died because you couldn't accept that. Sterling's face went pale. She's not dead. The words hung in the rain like a confession. Everyone froze. Elena's breath caught. What? Sterling's voice dropped to a whisper, his eyes distant. She's not dead. I could never... Gabriel wheeled closer, his voice urgent. Where is she, Sterling? Where is Clara? Sterling's hands trembled. For the first time, he looked broken. I don't know, he whispered. That's the truth. I don't know. Gabriel's voice cracked. What do you mean you don't know? Sterling looked up, tears mixing with rain on his face. The night of the accident, I followed her. I wanted to talk to her, to make her understand. But she was so scared. She was driving too fast and... He choked on the words. She lost control. Went through the guardrail. I ran down to help her, but by the time I got there, she was gone. The car was empty. There was blood, but no body. Gabriel's world tilted. You're saying... I'm saying she survived the crash, Sterling said, his voice hollow. And she ran. From both of us. The revelation hit like lightning. Elena's mind reeled. But the police, the search teams, how could they not find her? Sterling laughed bitterly. Because Clara was smarter than all of us. She knew how to disappear. She'd been planning it for months. I just gave her the perfect opportunity. Gabriel's voice was barely a whisper. So all this time she's been out there, Sterling said, alive, free, away from us. He looked at Gabriel with empty eyes. We both lost her. You just didn't know it yet. The police arrived 15 minutes later, red and blue lights cutting through the rain. Sterling was arrested, charged with stalking, harassment, and evidence tampering. The recording Gabriel had made was enough to start a full investigation into Clara's disappearance. But as the police cars drove away with Sterling in the back seat, Gabriel sat in his wheelchair, staring at the twisted guardrail. Elena knelt beside him, taking his hand. Gabriel, she said softly, are you okay? He didn't answer for a long moment. Then, she's alive. Maybe, Elena said carefully. If Sterling is telling the truth, he is, Gabriel said quietly. I could see it in his eyes. For all his lies, that was the truth. He looked at Elena, his eyes filled with a complicated mix of grief and hope. All this time I thought she was dead. I thought I'd failed to protect her. But she protected herself. Elena squeezed his hand. She survived, Gabriel. And so did you. Gabriel's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I don't know if I want to find her. Part of me hopes she's happy, wherever she is, that she found the peace she couldn't find with me. Elena's heart ached for him. You loved her. I did, Gabriel said, in my own broken way, but I hurt her, and she deserved better. He looked at Elena now, really looked at her. You deserve better too, he said softly. Better than a man with this much baggage, this much pain. Elena shook her head. Gabriel Huxley, you listen to me. I didn't agree to marry you because I thought you were perfect. I agreed because when I look at you, I see someone who's survived impossible things. Someone who keeps fighting even when the world tries to break him. She cupped his face in her hands. You're not perfect, but you're real, and you're trying. That's more than most people ever do. Gabriel's voice cracked. Elena, And for what it's worth, she continued, her own voice trembling, I don't think you're broken beyond repair. I think you're healing. And maybe I can help with that. Gabriel pulled her into his arms, holding her tight against his chest. How did I get this lucky? He whispered into her hair. Elena smiled through her tears. A hospital hallway and a tipping gurney, despite everything. The fear, the danger, the revelations. Gabriel laughed. A real, genuine laugh, and for the first time in years, he felt something he'd almost forgotten. Elena. The board meeting was tense. Elena sat in the back of the conference room. Watching as Gabriel sat across from him, his expression smug, clearly expecting Gabriel to fail. But Gabriel was different now. Stronger, more focused. He spoke about his vision for the company, about innovation, integrity, and leadership that went beyond appearances. And then he did something unexpected. He talked about Elena. Some of you have questioned my judgment, Gabriel said, looking around the room. You've wondered if my personal life disqualifies me from leading this company, if my marriage is real or just a publicity stunt. He paused, his eyes finding Elena's across the room. Let me be clear. My marriage to Elena is the most real thing in my life. She saved me, not once, but twice. First, in a hospital hallway, when she had no idea who I was. And again 2 weeks ago, when she stood beside me in the rain and refused to run. Elena's eyes filled with tears. That's the kind of person I want to build a life with, Gabriel continued. Someone who does the right thing even when it's hard. Someone who sees beyond the wheelchair, beyond the money, beyond the reputation. He looked directly at Thomas. Can you say the same about the people in your corner? Thomas's smile faltered. Gabriel continued. I'm not asking you to vote for me because I'm perfect. I'm asking you to vote for me because I've learned from my mistakes, because I've faced my demons, and because I will fight for this company with everything I have. The room was silent. Then, one by one, the board members began to nod. When the vote was called, it was decisive. Gabriel remained CEO. Thomas stormed out, his face purple with rage. But Gabriel barely noticed. His eyes were on Elena, who was wiping away tears and smiling at him like he'd just won the lottery. That night, back at the penthouse, Elena and Gabriel stood by the windows, looking out at the city lights. You did it, Elena said softly. You saved your company. Gabriel shook his head. We did it. I couldn't have done this without you. Elena leaned against him. So, what happens now? Gabriel was quiet for a moment. Now we figure out what comes next. We have 10 more months on our contract. But Elena... He turned to face her, taking her hands in his. I don't want this to be a contract anymore. Elena's breath caught. What are you saying? Gabriel's eyes were vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. I'm saying that somewhere between that hospital hallway and tonight, I fell in love with you. Elena's heart stopped. I know this wasn't part of the deal, Gabriel continued quickly. And if you want to stick to the contract, finish the year, and walk away with your money and your freedom, I'll understand. But I need you to know. His voice cracked. You're not a business arrangement to me anymore. You're everything. Tears streamed down Elena's face. Gabriel? Elena kissed him. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. It was pure instinct. The same instinct that made her grab that gurney, that made her climb into his SUV, that made her stand beside him in the rain. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. I love you too, Elena whispered. I think I have since that night you told me I wasn't a coincidence. Gabriel's eyes filled with tears. You're not. You never were. He cupped her face in his hands. Elena Brooks, Elena Huxley, will you stay with me? Not because of a contract, not because of money, but because you want to. Elena smiled through her tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Gabriel pulled her close, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. And for the first time in 3 years, the weight on his chest lifted. They both were. 6 months later, the diner was exactly as Elena remembered it. Bubba's Diner Best Pie in Arkansas. This is where it all started, she said. Gabriel looked at the modest building. Should we go in? Elena nodded. I want you to meet Marissa. She's going to lose her mind when she sees you. They walked inside together, Gabriel wheeling beside her, Elena's hand resting on his shoulder. The diner went silent. Then Marissa's voice boomed from the kitchen. Elena Brooks, is that you? Marissa burst through the door, froze when she saw Gabriel, and then screamed, Oh, my lord, you brought the billionaire! The entire diner erupted in whispers and gasps. Elena laughed. Marissa, this is my husband, Gabriel. Marissa grabbed Elena's hands. Girl, you better tell me everything. How did this happen? When did this happen? Why didn't you invite me to the wedding? Gabriel smiled. That's my fault. It was a quick ceremony. Marissa narrowed her eyes at him. You better be treating her right, Mr. Huxley. Because if you're not, you'll have to answer to me. Gabriel's smile widened. I promise I'm doing my best. Marissa studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right then. You both sit down. Pie is on the house. As they sat in the booth, the same booth where Gabriel had first walked into Elena's life, Elena looked around at the familiar faces, the worn tables, the flickering neon sign. Do you ever miss it? Gabriel asked. This life? Elena thought about it. Sometimes it was simpler, but... She looked at him, her eyes full of love. It wasn't full, not like it is now. Gabriel took her hand. I don't deserve you. No, Elena agreed with a teasing smile. But you're stuck with me anyway. Gabriel laughed, that real, genuine laugh that she loved so much. And as Marissa brought them 2 slices of pie, as the diner buzzed with life around them, as the sun set over the Arkansas sky, Elena realized something. She had started this journey looking for a way to survive, but she'd found something better. She'd found a way to live. The end. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed Elena and Gabriel's journey, please hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional storytelling. Drop a comment and let me know, did you see that ending coming? What was your favorite part? I love hearing from you. And remember, sometimes the people who save us are the ones we save first. See you in the next story.